Damn, Natsu got owned. Alright, so this chapter of Fairy Tail, couple things went down. So let's start off with the battle. Natsu and Rogue. Sheesh. Damn. That's all I can say. Like, when's the last time Natsu actually got owned like that? I mean, I don't even remember last time he lost a battle, but I think it was the Gildarts fight where he had to give up and whatever. He just couldn't do shit against him. But it's been a long time. And all the people that have been dying to see this fictional character lose a fictional fight, there you go. Here you go, people. Because he clearly lost that one. Ultira and Melody jumped in, but at the end of the day, he lost that one. He went full force. He used a move we haven't seen him use in a while. He went in and still got his ass handed to him by Rogue, and then Rogue just tried to dip with him. Rogue is kind of reminding me of Obito, yeah, crazy as it is. He reminds me of him at the fact that, like, he's taking his body and he's leaving into the shadows, except, obviously Obito doesn't use shadows or whatever. But, I don't know, he was just kind of reminding me of that situation. And all in all, I thought that, wow, Natsu took an L. Natsu took a legitimate L. He went all out and still got his ass whipped, and he's unconscious. So there you go. For people that wanted that, here you go. You got it. Now, I want to discuss the whole thing with Lucy saying that we got to close the gates at the end of the chapter. Why would she randomly, that blurred into her head? There's either two things. One, she's being possessed because if you look closely at the last shot, her pupils are weird. They look as if, like, she's not in control right now. So maybe she's being controlled to say that. Or two, she just had a epiphany, a realization, like, holy shit, opening these gates, these dragons are going to come bum rushing us. We need to close these immediately. I'm leaning more towards the maybe she's being controlled because Lucy really to have an epiphany like that? I don't know, I'm just saying. I remember Carla's vision of, the future. And I remember Carla having the vision of Lucy, and she's standing, and the castle is falling. And this is probably what's going to happen. I'm guessing it's a possibility that Lucy might, quote-unquote, die at this particular point, only for them to go back in time and try to stop these events from happening. And then maybe when they return later on down the road, if we go into, back to the past arc, Lucy will be revived from them changing time. That's just a huge speculation. I know people say nobody dies in Fairy Tail, but that's technically not, I guess, death if she's going to be revived later on. But I could see that happening, them jumping in the time machine while she gives them enough time to get away while she's singing or whatever the case may be. And maybe the future that they've seen actually can change when, Levy was writing that books, because the Levy writing those diaries and everything apparently only happened a few days after these events. So everything seems a little bit weird because this Rogue seems as though he's from the distant future, but future Lucy and the shot of Levy we've seen, like, writing that in the diary and everything, they're only from a couple days from now. So does Rogue, like, become some god or something in the future? Is he actually just a dragon that's trying to stop things? It's really hard to say because, like I've said, even prior to Rogue having that realization with Godjiel, he never really seemed as though he was all that, like, motivated, I need power. He just seemed really quiet, and kind of he would be humble if he wasn't a part of Sabretooth. So I don't really know where would be this change. Like I said, it could be that he's putting up a front, like, yeah, I killed Sting, but in actuality, maybe Sting gave him his final power in a struggle against the dragons. I mean, are the dragons really even going to come at this point is something that I'm really wondering about, because at the end of the day, where would they come from? Only from the gate would be the place that they come from. So Lucy closing up the gate would make the most sense. Who was telling her to close the gate? I don't know. If she is being controlled, it's either two things. She's having an epiphany and it's like, oh shit, the dragons are coming from here, because it looks as if she's looking at something, or, something in the distance is like either controlling her or what. I don't know, because where would dragons come from if not from that gate? They don't exist anymore. The graveyard shows that there's, they're gone. So it would be from that gate, and closing that gate is the only way. Maybe while the gate is closing, they start bum rushing. I don't know, but this is going to be interesting to see. Overall, the chapter was definitely a good one. It provided one thing that, the tournament, yeah, Natsu was on a roll. He was kicking ass and everything. Everybody that, that for the most part wanted to see him lose, there you go. You got that. I didn't really care either way. I mean, it just shows that in the future, we have credible threats, and Natsu isn't the peak of power or anything. And I would love to see a rematch of Gildarts and Natsu, by the way, just saying. But yeah, overall, it's just it's the big question of this one. I would say is Lucy being controlled, or did she have some sort of epiphany? And do you think it's possible that Sting is really playing this up? Maybe he didn't kill future Lucy. Maybe he shot her in a non-vital organ. You know how they play that up. Maybe it's possible he's just playing this up so that he can actually get the ultimate outcome that he wants for justice. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, pretty awesome chapter. Definitely one of the better ones, I would say. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to see what's going to happen, because we're getting really close to Eclipse finally ending. And I'm excited because that's been the one thing about Fairy Tail this entire arc that I've been waiting to see. The whole thing with the Eclipse. Are they going to go to the past? And also, I'm just still curious. What the hell happened to Zeref? What happened to that boy that we saw 7 years ago with the crazy magic that was killing people? I can't wait to find that out. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.